Hola clase. Hoy vamos a hablar de los mandatos formales or formal commands. And of course, when we're talking about formal commands, that means we're talking about usted form, which is the formal way of saying you, or ustedes form, which is the plural, the y'all version. So when you're talking to more than one person, you would use ustedes. And if you're talking to just one person who is older than you or who you don't know very well, you would use usted. Now, why is it important to know this form? Well, when you speak in Spanish in the real world, chances are you're going to be speaking with somebody that you don't know very well. Especially, hopefully, in a work setting, you would need to use the usted form. So it's important that we learn the usted form so that we are communicating in respectful ways out in the real world. If you use tu out in the real world instead of usted, you're not being respectful, and the person might get offended by what you are saying, especially if you're commanding them in the informal way. Okay? And then, of course, ustedes commands are when you're talking to more than one person, which we will use those in the class, and you'll also use them outside in life when you're talking to more than one person. Okay? Before we dive into the usted and ustedes commands, the formal commands, I want to take a quick moment to review the informal commands, or the tu commands. Okay, remember that positive commands, affirmative commands, are when you're saying to do something, and then we have negative commands when you're saying not to do something. Okay? Affirmative commands take the LA form, which means that an AR verb will end in A, an ER verb will end in E, and an IR verb will end in E. And then we have our 8 irregulars: pon, ten, sal, ven, di, se, ve, as. Also, remember that if there is a pronoun at the end, or if the verb's reflexive, you will need to put your pronoun at the end. So, for example, dormirse, which means to fall asleep. In LA form, dormir becomes duerme, and then se changes to te. And because we put a pronoun on the end, here's our verb ending, and we put a tilde on the vowel that comes before the verb ending. Negative commands, of course, we have the 3-step process. So yo form in present tense, drop the O, and then put the opposite ending. So ARs go to ES, ERs, IRs goes to AS. Okay? So, duermete in negative form would be no. Te, negative commands, the verb or the pronoun goes in front. And dormir in yo form is duermo. We drop the O, and since it's IR verb, we add AS. No te duermas. Okay, so those are our informal commands, or our tu commands. Okay, the formal commands, or the mandatos afirmativos con usted and ustedes, that's what makes them formal. Usted is singular and with the person that we don't know, and ustedes is plural if we're talking to more than one person, commanding more than one person to do something. Y'all do this, y'all do that. Okay, the rules on these are actually very similar to the negative tu commands. So with both positive and negative commands for usted and ustedes, you have to do the 3-step process. So step 1, yo form. Step 2, drop the O. And then step 3, that's where things get just a little bit more complicated. If it's an AR verb, for usted, you're going to put an E. And for ustedes, you're going to put EN. Okay? For an ER or IR, for usted, you're going to put A, and for ustedes, you're going to put AN. So again, you're just flip-flopping the endings from what you're used to using. And then here we have some examples. Hablar becomes no hables in negative 2 form. Hable in usted form, and hablen in ustedes form. Now, the awesome thing about the positive, affirmative, and negative with usted and ustedes is all we have to do for these ones is stick a no in front of it. So no hable, no hablen. Okay? Remember, that's not true for the informal commands. The informal commands in this case are the ones that are different, because the affirmative commands are not, you don't do the 3-step process, you just put it in the ella form. Okay, so usted and ustedes have the 3-step process, and then depending on whether you're talking to one person, you either add E for AR verbs or A for ER verbs, or if you're talking to more than one person, you add EN for AR verbs and AN for ER/IR verbs. Okay, so looking at our examples, we already looked at hablar. Now, traigas, no traigas, is a negative 2 command, and that comes from the verb traer. But traer in yo form is traigo, which is where that G came from. So then in usted form, it would be no traiga or traiga. So if we're talking to Miss Sunday and we're asking her to bring a recipe, we say, ay, señora Sunday, por favor, traiga la receta, bring the recipe. Okay, and then traigan if you're talking to multiple people. So, and then same thing with vayas. Vayas comes from which verb? Ir. Remember, it's irregular. So no vayas, don't go to the doctor's office. That's an informal command. Vaya al consultorio, go to the doctor. That's a formal command. And vayan ustedes form, y'all go to the consultorio, okay, or go to the doctor's office. And then as it says right here, to form the negative form of the verbs, all we do is put no in front. So once you've done that 3-step process, you either put the affirmative form, which means without no in front, or the negative form, you put the no in front, okay? Then, as it points out down here, when you have a pronoun, you're going to put it on the end if it's an affirmative command. So do it is an affirmative command, and you put your pronoun on the end. So tomen estas pastillas, take these pills, and then tomenlas, take them right now. Now, why did we use las? We used las because we had pastillas here. So take them, talking about the pills, which are feminine and plural. Okay? Cepíllese los dientes. Brush your teeth after eating. You'll notice there's a se on the end of this, and that's because the formal version of a reflexive pronoun, or of a reflexive verb, se is the pronoun that we use. Okay? So, cepíllese, brush your teeth after eating. Over on this side, lleve comes from llevar. Lleve la receta, por favor, llévela. Bring it. And the la refers to la receta, which is why it's la, because it's feminine. And then no le pidan dulces. Don't ask them for candies. Pidan comes from the verb pedir, which in yo form is pido. And then we drop the O, and we put our an. No le piden. Don't ask of them dulces, candies. Ask for fruit. Pídanle fruta. Ask them for, or ask him or her, because it's singular. Ask him or her for fruit. Okay, now it's time for practice. And it says, what advice, qué consejos les da la doctora a estos pacientes? En pareja, match cada frase de la columna A con un consejo, a piece of advice, de la columna B. Luego, escribe un mandato con usted o ustedes para darles consejo en cada caso. Okay, so here it says, necesitamos estar en forma. We need to be in shape. So what's the recommendation that goes with that? Looking at my options. What does it take to get in shape? Well, avoiding junk food would be a good way of getting in shape. I would like to see something about exercise, but it doesn't have that, so we'll use that one. Okay, so we're going to put it in usted form. oh, hold on, necesitamos, that's we. So if we're commanding multiple people, what do we use? We use ustedes. So step 1, go to the yo form. Evitar becomes evito, right? So then we drop the O, evit, and then AR verb goes to EN. Eviten, y'all avoid, eviten la comida basura y los refrescos. Okay, at this time I recommend that you pause the video and write your answers. You can use either usted or ustedes form. Paying attention to over here, amos is going to get ustedes as a command, and then as well as amos, your we phrases are going to get a y'all command, versus a yo phrase is going to get a usted command. Okay? So keep that in mind as you're matching one from column A with one from column B and forming the command with the verbs over here in column B. Okay, if you haven't paused the video to do that activity, please do so at this time. And then, once you're done doing the activity, check back in and we will go through it together so you can see how you did. Okay guys, I'm back. Okay, so looking at number 2, no tenemos energía, we don't have energy. So what should we do? Well, there's a lot of them that we could choose from, but we are going to do we form. So maybe vitamins. Maybe vitamins will give us energy. So it's a we form, tenemos, so we're going to use ustedes command. So comprar will then become compren. Compren vitaminas con hierro. Okay? Number 3, tengo tos y dolor de cabeza. I have a cough and my head hurts. So what should we do? We should do this. And then since it's in yo form over here, tengo, we're just talking to one person. So, but we're going to do it formally. We don't know them very well. So tomar in yo form is tomo, take off the O, and AR verb gets an E, tome. Tome un jarabe y una aspirina. Okay. Number 4. El médico dice que necesito más calcio. I need more calcium. Okay. So, what has calcium? Yogur y leche. And we're talking to just one person. So we're going to say tomar in usted form will become tome. Okay, number 5. Creo, I believe. Creo que tengo fiebre. Okay, so what should a person with a fever do? They should take their temperature. Oh, careful, because this one is reflexive. So it's just talking to one person, tengo. So then ponerse, we go to yo form of poner is pongo. We drop the O. It's an ER verb, so we put ponga. And then we leave the se, we put the se back on there. And then there's a pronoun, so we also have to add a tilde. Póngase. Póngase el termómetro. Okay, number 6. Nos sentimos mal porque comimos mucha grasa y azúcar. We feel bad because we ate a lot of grease and sugar. Okay, so what should we do? What's our recommendation? Well, we should have a more balanced diet. So that's right here. This is we form, so we're going to put a ustedes command. Tener in yo form is tengo. We drop the O. We add an because we're talking to multiple people, so it becomes tengan una dieta equilibrada. Y no tomar becomes no tomen muchos refrescos. Okay, hopefully that went well for you all, and that you've added to your notes the important rules for usted and ustedes commands or formal commands, mandatos formales.